I've never seen that in an offseason in the history of sports where a team has to trade for a player that would have been released otherwise just to get them to play for them.
I've never seen that in the history of sports. Wow. Let's take a look at it. NFL.com. The Raiders are trading two-time Pro Bowl quarterback to the Jets. Las Vegas is sending a 2026 seventh-round pick with Smith in exchange for a 2026 sixth-round selection, moving up from 228 to 208. Okay. So the Raiders in this deal made the deal, and the Jets were able to get Geno, and they allowed the Raiders to move up 20 spots in the draft. Okay. So according to Gio, it's the only time that this has ever happened in the history of sports. Let's take a look at what happened with the Indianapolis Colts and the Pittsburgh Steelers this offseason. This is from the Colts website. The Colts on Friday acquired a 2026 sixth-round pick from the Pittsburgh Steelers in exchange for wide receiver Michael Pittman and a 2026 seventh-round pick at number 230 overall. So what happens here is that the Colts, instead of releasing Michael Pittman, which they were going to, they get something in return. And Pittsburgh, because they don't want to have to compete with the rest of the teams for Michael Pittman, are able to acquire him. And what did they give up? They give up 14 spots in the draft. I think, or 16, excuse me, 16 spots. So the Colts can move up 16 spots in the draft, and they trade Pittman to the Steelers. This offseason, probably within a week of what happened with Geno. It doesn't happen in the history of sports. We could also take a look at DJ Moore. Okay, I'm just going to read this. DJ Moore was going to get cut, and they gave up a second-round pick to get him, one executive said. They gave up a second-round pick and $40 million in guarantees. This is somebody that was critical of it because this was actually from an article in The Athletic, and I can't show The Athletic articles because it's a paid service. So it was someone. It was basically they were going through. Athletic does a really good job, and they take a look at all 32 teams, AFC one day, NFC another day, and they talk about the biggest impacts of free agency for those teams. And they get actual NFL executives to tell them what they think about their offseason and their biggest deals. So with the Bills, this one executive, this is what he says: Moore was going to get cut. They gave up a second-round pick to get him. They gave up a second-round pick and $40 million in guarantees. What is going on? And he was saying that because, the Bills, you got to think about this. We're talking about sixth-round draft picks, seventh-round draft picks for Michael Pittman and Geno Smith, the starting quarterback. And the Bills are giving up a second-round draft pick to get, again, a player who was going to get cut. And they got to give the guy $40 million in guarantees. And that's the other thing to keep in mind. When a player goes to another team, like what just happened with Pittman as well, anytime these guys go to different teams, you are going to have situations where you are going to restructure the contract or you're going to give the guy a raise or whatever the case may be. That does not have to happen. Now, you have no right whatsoever when you get traded. Well, in some situations. But you do have rights when it comes to your contract. So if these players, whether it's Michael Pittman or Geno Smith or DJ Moore, did not want to get traded to those teams, and they were completely against it, and I can't believe this has to happen, and I'm Geno Smith, I can't believe I got to go to the New York Jets, and yet you go ahead and you put together, a very friendly deal that everybody's satisfied with. Sometimes you actually, a deal like this is made and you can look at an extension. maybe you couldn't get the extension on the other team. And if you really don't want to be there, then you just settle for whatever it is. And again, look, nobody knows, really, no one does, whether Geno would have re-signed with the Jets if he would have been cast out, which he was going to be. But smart business in any sport, especially football, is what we're talking about here. Smart business. This is how smart people run their businesses. All 32 teams do it. Is that why do I have to compete with the other 31 GMs out there when I could just put out a deal, give them a pick late, or even just swap picks, which happen all the time, contrary to Gio, who believes it's never happened in the history of sports. And you wind up giving away 15, 30 spots or whatever the case may be in the draft. That's what you have to give up in order to guarantee that you don't have to compete with this player, because it's going to wind up costing you more than likely. That player is going to be like, well, I don't know, I was kind of thinking of going over here, whether he actually was preferring to just sign with you anyway. But the smart agent, of course, and player will play the game. And they'll be like, well, hey, you know what? I can go over here. So if you want me, all of a sudden, you got to pay more because you're not competing with another team. So why do that? Why? It's more important to just get the player in your building and go about doing that. You can even look at what happened with hockey. If you're into hockey, the biggest hockey trade of the season, I know as a Vancouver fan, what happened to Quinn Hughes going to Minnesota. A major gamble for Minnesota, because Quinn Hughes is going to be an unrestricted free agent at the end of the year. This also happens quite a bit in every sport. Doesn't happen a lot, because, especially to a major player, because there are big risks. And for Minnesota, there's a major risk. They gave Vancouver 3 really good players. They gave him a premium draft pick and quality, a couple of really good prospects and a solid player. And it could all blow up in their faces if Quinn Hughes decides, all right, at the end of the season, yeah, it was nice while I was here, but I was never going to sign here anyway. Sorry. But why did they do it? The point I'm not trying to make is, why did they make the risk? That being an enormous risk. But again, they're not getting Geno Smith or Michael Pittman. They're getting one of the best players in the league. And that's why they had to give all of that talent away. Why are they doing it? Because once you acquire the player, again, you don't have to wait for him to become a free agent. And now you got to play ball. And he's deciding, I don't know where to go. I'm going to go to Jersey, Minnesota, so-and-so. So now you're competing with a bunch of other teams. And again, maybe your price tag is going to go up. You're not going to get a little bit of a discount because he's been there. That's how the game is played in every sport across the nation. Gio. So he goes on in this article, as one agent noted, getting free agents to choose Buffalo over other NFL cities can be tricky. How about that? Who would have thought that, huh? Huh, Gio? Who would have thought that? This isn't some talk show host. This is an NFL executive that's just letting you know, as much as you think the Jets are some piss poor destination, why would anybody think that the Buffalo Bills would be a piss poor destination when you have constant winning and you've got a franchise quarterback? But getting free agents to choose Buffalo over other NFL cities can be tricky. More played under new head coach Joe Brady. It goes on and talks about why it was. Now, again, because if you're looking into it, it did make a lot of sense, because Joe Brady, as he says, was in Carolina with DJ Moore. He had a career high season in 2020 when Brady was there as his OC. Now he's the head coach. So you've got, familiarity, all that kind of stuff. And now you can say, oh, I'm happy to be here. Sounds good. There comes the $40 million in guarantees. So I've just given you 2 big examples right off the bat of deals that were made within the last couple of weeks where Gio has never heard of this in the history of sports.